It all starts with the story that the strongest demons gather on the ninth circle of hell, leading an endless battle, which is held in order to determine the strongest demon. Next, we are shown the battle of two great demons, Gargas and Palak. The first one is disappointed with Palak's attacks, and he is dissatisfied with the empty chatter from the opponent, which he directly tells him. Gargas gets angry and makes a blow, followed by a powerful explosion. Palak managed to dodge, and he hit back, but successfully. After a series of blows from both sides, one-eyed demons attack Palak and immobilize him. But this does not delay the winged demon for long. During the battle, Palak wins and becomes the strongest demon. Next, the Lord of Hell appears to us. Palak and the other demons are clearly afraid of his wrath. The king can easily absorb anyone in the throne room, just as he absorbed 7 princes and rose above all. It turns out that this is a man who lived there for 10,000 years. His name is Okang-Wu. He has achieved the highest greatness and he is very bored with life in hell. The demons try to give him the head of the remaining strong creature for food, but he categorically refuses. The Lord asks for a stew with kimchi, but the demons do not understand food. Okang-Wu wants to find a loved one. Lilith, the queen of succubi, puts her candidacy for this role. She is the first beauty in hell, but the Lord does not like her. The king of hell orders her not to approach, but she does not listen at all and brazenly sticks to him while absorbing his energy. Okang-Wu can't stand it and says bluntly, he wants to return to Earth. For 10,000 years, his desire to return has only strengthened. He orders Palak to prepare for the ceremony. Palak tries to dissuade his master, but because of the fear of being absorbed, he obeys. He tells the other demons to summon a certain Ammon and prepare statues of the 7 princes of hell. Next, Ammon recites a spell in front of the statues. Palak says the preparations are complete. Lilith and Palak are crying because their lord is leaving. Okang-Wu throws off his armor and heads towards the statues. The dark sorcerer Ammon warns the Lord that if he puts such a large amount of magic into the statues of the 7 princes of hell, the boundaries of time and space may be distorted, which will cause a gap in the dimension. The guy agrees and is ready to start. He is set to return home and gives the accumulated energy of 10,000 demons to the core. Energy is released. Ammon watches and admires the crushing power of the master's magic. All 7 statues have awakened, which means that the gates will soon open, which Ammon immediately informs the Lord about. Okang-Wu thinks that even if he returns, he will have no family, no lover, no friends, but it's better than living in this damn desert place. Lilith calls out to the Lord, and Palak tries to pull her back. She tearfully asks if he really wants to leave them. The guy tells her not to cry, although in fact she scares him. Lilith enthusiastically says that her heart can burst from the love of the Lord. After her words, one of the tentacles that made up her dress really began to tear, and a strange liquid flowed out of it. Okang-Wu is terrified. At this time, Lilith says that she wants to go with him. Then the Lord immediately jumped into the open gate. The girl shouted that she would follow him, no matter what happened, and her voice was getting further and further away. Okang-Wu chuckled. He shows the middle finger and says that he was not happy to meet her and hopes that they will not see each other again. The main character reflects that he has neither a past that he would like to change, nor a future that he wanted to achieve, but he hopes that this is the land that he knows. He is glad that now he really will return home. But suddenly an atomic crack is discovered. The strength of the nucleus exceeds the norm. Okang-Wu doesn't understand what's going on. Gaia's system is overloaded. The guy is hit by a strong flow of energy. The system throws an error and reports that it is impossible to completely eliminate cracks in the core, so selective compression begins. The main character tells the system to stop, but does not withstand the load and loses consciousness. Waking up, Okang-Wu realizes that he was in the forest, on the ground. He lifts himself up and wants to check the condition of his body, when suddenly a status display plate appears, causing bewilderment in the hero. It turns out that his powers are sealed. A roar is heard from the forest and strange green creatures run out, which are clearly hostile. Okang-Wu mentally exclaims that there have never been such creatures on the earth he knew. The guy wants to get rid of them in one hit, using the demonic energy in the core of 10,000 demons, but it turns out to be too weak. The creatures are almost catching up with the main character, and he decides to use the demon Shabnak and his blade power, cutting the creatures one by one. It turns out that these were some goblins, and for killing them, experience is given that increases his level to the 4th. Okang-Wu understands that this is not just statistics and he really feels stronger. He decides to gather information about this place and uses the power of the Devourer. The guy gets information about monsters, but nothing about this world. In the meantime, he is awarded 1 magic point. The main character is in shock. He argues that if there is magic from hell here, then he is not on Earth. Oh Kang-woo can't believe it, because he endured all the circles of hell, because he believed that he could return to Earth. Suddenly, he hears a scream that does not look like a demon or a monster, and realizes that it is a person and uses the power of speed, rushing towards the sound. Along the way, he thinks that for 10,000 years he has seen only demons with tentacles and dozens of limbs, so he does not care what the one to whom this cry belongs looks like. And if he has 2 eyes, 1 nose and mouth, then he can already be called a man. The guy prayed that he didn't have tentacles. When Oh Kang-woo got to the place, he immediately began to look for a person among the crowd of goblins. Noticing him, or rather her, the guy examined the man and rejoiced, not finding the tentacles. One of the goblins swung, and the girl squeezed her eyes shut, preparing for a blow. But only the screams of the goblins followed. She opened her eyes and saw how the guy had killed the last goblin. The others were already dead. He offered his hand, and the girl, shyly thanking him, touched his hand. Oh Kang-woo blushed in his thoughts and began to rejoice, but he did not show it from the outside. The girl got up and confidently thanked the hero for saving her, introducing herself as Han-Sol as she looked at the trembling savior with bewilderment when he grabbed her hand and exclaimed an offer to marry him. The girl didn't understand what he was talking about. Oh Kang-woo mentally told himself that he got carried away. The guy apologized and introduced himself, specifying her name. He asked if the wound on the girl's leg hurt much. She tried to wave it off and say that the wound was small, as she screamed and began to fall. The hero exclaimed her name and caught her, asking if she was okay. Then he noticed the phone that had fallen out from under her cape, mentally reassuring himself that he was really on the ground. Oh Kang-woo put Han-Sol on the ground, telling her to overexert herself and sit for a while he bandaged the wound. The girl thanked him again. The guy told her not to worry and tore off part of his raincoat. Mentally, he noted that he was talking freely with her, because in order not to forget his native language, he banned the language of demons in hell, and they all spoke Korean. And now he is finally talking Korean with a person, not with a demon. The hero finished the dressing, and Han-Sol thanked him again, to which the guy just laughed and handed her her phone. The screen lit up and Oh Kang-woo found out that it was 2023. And, by earthly standards, 5 years had passed since he fell into the abyss. He decided he needed to gather more information. Kang-woo asked the girl what she was doing in such a place. She replied that she woke up yesterday, became a player and went hunting alone in the E-class gate. The guy had a lot of questions in his head. The Lord asked what her level was, to which she replied that it was the 6th, because she had only recently awakened. The girl asked what a strong player like him was doing here. Kang-woo ironically thought that his level was actually lower than hers and replied that it happened, believing that it was possible to understand why she came to this conclusion. The girl was suddenly embarrassed and offered to go on the road. Vladika asked her if she was sure that she would be able to walk, because the wound was very painful. Han-Sol replied that he didn't need to worry and screamed. The guy offered his help. The girl began to refuse help, saying that she did not want to be a burden. Kang-woo replied that she didn't need to refuse help and he would take her. She just needed to tell her where she needed to go. Han-Sol confusedly said to go to the entrance. The guy smiled, mentally rejoicing that he was talking to a person for the first time in 10,000 years, despite the fact that he messed up when he met her, and it doesn't look like she guesses about his identity. In the same spirit, he will continue to get used to human society. The girl informed the guy that they were at the entrance. The hero is puzzled by the open gates and the fact that people here move with the help of fractures in space. He realizes that it's not really Earth and doesn't see any equipment that could create a rift, wondering what keeps the gate open. Han-Sol removes the savior's hands from her shoulders and says that she is already better and that it is better to hurry. Having moved, Oh Kang-woo sees a city teeming with ordinary people. He is crying with joy. The girl turns to him with an offer to have lunch with her. The hero happily agrees. Here 2 policemen approach, demanding to show the player's card. Han-Sol starts looking for his card, and the hero uses the power of illusion, showing the servant of the law the middle finger. It works and the girl and the guy leave. When they reach Soleil's house, we see a 5-story building. The girl says that there is no elevator, so you have to go up the stairs. Oh Kang enjoys the smell of the old house, the narrow staircase, the cold railing and the dusty window. He hopes for a happy future. The girl opened the door and notified her mother about the arrival. A female voice came from the apartment and an elderly woman came out to them, who began to ask her daughter about her well-being. Kang-woo is in a stupor. He was waiting for something else and did not think about the fact that the girl was really only going to have lunch with him. Han-Sol introduces his savior, and the mother thanks him for saving her daughter, saying that she does not know how to thank him. Oh Kang replies that it's nothing, and the girl's mother invites him to come into the apartment. She asks her daughter to help her set the table, and she agrees. The main character asks to borrow the girl's phone to get more information about the Earth. She gives him her pack phone without question. The guy misses smartphones, but decides to get down to business right away. From the news of 2018, he learns that on February 22nd, a catastrophe occurred, during which mysterious portals with thousands of monsters appeared out of nowhere all over the world. The weapons turned out to be useless. The army tried to fight back, but was turned into a bloody mess. Under the leadership of the United States, the World Protection Organization was created, which later included Korea. The mysterious first player from the USA was also mentioned. Thousands of players have appeared in the world, and many are hoping for their protection. Oh Kang-woo remembers that it was on the day of the disaster that he fell into hell, and realizes that he was dragged into one of these portals. He thinks that you shouldn't believe the news too much, because they can write anything there, and he needs more information. At this moment, he informs about the serving of food and puts a saucepan on the table. The guy looks into the pot with surprise and sees a dish that he could not taste for so long, a stew with kimchi. The guy slowly brings a spoon of stew to his mouth, while the interlocutors are watching him in surprise, sitting opposite. Oh Kang does not stop eating the dish, eating rice, and the girl and her mother are at a loss. While the hero is eating, he remembers how he lived in hell for these 10,000 years. In order to survive, he had to become like demons, use demonic energy. But he was still human, and devouring demons didn't bring any pleasure, so disgusting was this food. And he didn't go crazy just because he had been living the dream of returning home all this time. Tears flowed from Kang-woo's eyes. He still does not fully believe that he has returned home to Earth. Sala anxiously asks what's wrong with him. The guy stutters and thanks the girl for the food. She replies that it is she who needs to thank him. The girl apologizes that she can't offer something better, but she is glad that he likes it. The main character apologizes for his impudence and asks for more. Han Sol happily agrees. Oh Kang thinks how good it is to be home after all. Suddenly there was a crash, and the wall behind the hero shattered into pieces, raising a cloud of dust. An unknown voice cursed. The girl and her mother are scared and look at the stranger. An unknown guy grumbles about the effort it cost him to demolish the door. When the dust settles, a stranger with blonde hair rudely shouts Han Sol's name and calls her out. The guy crossed the threshold of the house and with undisguised irritation asked why she decided that she could enter the gate whenever she wanted. The girl glared at him. She told him to leave, and when he didn't budge, she shouted at him to get out of the house, calling him Han Tae-hyun. After her angry exclamations that Han T should not approach, because now she is a full-fledged player, the guy just grinned and then laughed at all from her statement. At the same moment, Tae-hyun slammed his fist into the wall so that cracks appeared and called her a low-level bitch, not wanting to consider her a player. Then we find out that this is the girl's brother as well as that their father died early. Sala blames the guy for their poverty. To this, the blonde grabs her by the hand and says that they are going to the Guild of Andrus. Han Sol tries to break free from the grip and shouts that he will never join this scum guild. The guy replies that he just wanted her to join a good guild, to which the girl bites his hand. He slaps her in the face. The mother is trying to help her daughter, and her brother says that she will not survive by doing only good deeds, so she needs to shut up and become his offering. Mom begs Tae-hyun to take her instead of her daughter, and the guy just throws her aside, saying that she is annoying. The girl looks at her brother with hatred in her eyes, and he says that she has no chance against him, and she needs to join the Andrus Guild. His speech is interrupted by a contented slurping. He turns his attention to Oh-kan, who is enjoying the stew. The blonde is trying to get through to the guy, but he doesn't hear him. Then Han T breaks down and turns the table over. Dishes with stew overturned on the floor. Flatica screams in tears and falls to his knees. Tae-hyun calls him a bum and pushes him with his foot, telling him to stop whining. The hero looked angrily at Han Sol's brother. His aura inflated the atmosphere, and he himself asked the blonde man in a creepy voice how he dared to knock over kimchi. Han Tae-hyun doesn't understand what's going on and sees Kang-woo's demon aura.